Make sure to check out.
You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Let's go Blue Jays. It's the Friday edition of Leafs Morning Take, October 24th, presented by Bet365. Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill ahead of Game 1 of the World Series. And a fun day, Rosie, to be a Toronto sports fan. It's October. You got the Blue Jays, of course, in action. You got the Maple Leafs down the road in the QEW taking on Buffalo. And I know you're looking forward to the Raptors home opener against Milwaukee.
Oh, yes, all of it. What a sports day. I got to admit, I'm most excited for this fall classic. Game 1, though, lots of build-up, lots of storylines. It's going to be awesome.
I don't know when it becomes real for me that the Toronto Blue Jays, I remember as a kid going to the public library and getting videos talking about and remembering the World Series back-to-back. Like, that's how old I am. And now the Blue Jays actually in my lifetime are in a World Series game. It's kind of cool, man.
Yeah, it is pretty impressive. I remember the 2016 run they were on was pretty special. And this just, this is kind of blown out of the water even. So, to be in the World Series, unbelievable. A big task ahead of them with the Dodgers, obviously stacked lineup champions last year. But I don't know, man, like we talked about in the last couple of series, it's baseball. You can get momentum going and their bats can get hot and they're unstoppable. So I'm hoping for a good series. Like I said, lots of storylines, lots to follow. So I can't wait for first pitch tonight.
I can't get over the polar difference between the hockey team, and I would include the basketball team too, and the baseball team. Like, one right now specifically in the World Series is playing like an absolute team. I think you look on paper at that roster, there is talent, but pound for pound, you compare it to some of the other teams around the league, it's not up there. It's not top 5. They play as a team. Then conversely, you look at the Maple Leafs, I think they're still struggling to find their identity right now.
Yeah, it's kind of been the theme. Again, we talked, at length yesterday and with Brian Boyle, and, we have said this might be a process, and they're at the very beginning of that process. So I'm trying to keep that in mind as you watch the performances that have been subpar. They really haven't put together a 60-minute effort this year. Some would argue not even close. But again, you look at the lines for the game and who's playing with who, and they are scrambling to figure that out. And again, I think that's reasonable and understandable with their roster construction and what's going on and the changes that have been made. It's understandable, but yeah, it is less than ideal. And I think most fans are feeling that.
Definitely. And I think when you look at this team moving forward, as you mentioned, it is a process. It is a back-to-back this weekend with the Buffalo Sabres. We all know they're scheduled to finish off the month of October, and certainly acknowledge the fact that Monday we could do this show and our mentality can change tenfold on this team. But bottom line, we need to see it on the ice. So we'll be teeing up this twin bill, this back-to-back home and home with the Buffalo Sabres. Of course, a hectic weekend for Toronto sports. The Blue Jays in action here in the World Series. And again, it's going to be so interesting to watch this series, Rosie, because you think down the road, and you're a guy who played through the era of the lockout, multiple lockouts. I could only wonder what's in store for Major League Baseball over the next couple of years when we sit there and we watch the Los Angeles Dodgers play baseball this weekend. It's going to be interesting, man.
It is. What were you saying about lockouts?
There's going to be a lockout, man. What I'm getting at is, does baseball need a salary cap is what I'm getting at.
Sorry, I didn't know that. I'm not really privy. I haven't been paying attention to that. But I always wonder, like the Jays with the Canadian dollar being weak as hell, how do you compare $500 million with, just tack on top of it what you got to pay in US dollars to make that happen? It's unbelievable. I know their TV rights are big and they play a ton of games and they've got the big stadiums, but so often throughout the regular season, you see those barns and they're like empty. And it's like, how are they doing payroll with the salaries that are there? And, there is a salary cap or a luxury tax. I don't think anyone too much cares. I'd like to know how many guys actually use that luxury tax, how many teams. But yeah, it sucks when you get past the sporting of it and the players and the fans and you get down to the business part of it, and it leads to lockouts and strikes and stuff. I hate that. It's bad for the game, but business will be business.
Definitely, and this is why they play the games, not conceding this series by any stretch, but that Dodgers roster is pretty nasty, and Shohei Ohtani leads everything. We'll lead off the World Series coming up tonight, so looking forward to that. Don't forget to check out our various baseball channels, Blue Jays Nation, 6-inning stretch, Blue Jays Today. We have you covered here over at the Nation Network. Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. By the way, we do have an announcement coming next week pertaining to our Super Chat and Sick Kids. Great news all around, so we're coming to that next week. Wanted to mention as well, for all the conversation right now, Rosie, about the Maple Leafs, Thursday night, another rough night for the state of Florida, man. The Panthers lose again. The Lightning lose again. I had some dough on the Lightning, man. I got my Kucherov over 1.5 in that game, but they are in some trouble. And that's the first time I've said that about Tampa, maybe in 10 years. They lost to Chicago, dude, on home ice.
Yeesh. I know. Whenever we think things are rough in Toronto this year in particular, you can look around the league and there's teams in worse shape and teams struggling. And it's kind of funny because we've talked about the Atlantic Division being so heavy and so many powerhouses and how difficult it is to get through there. And, right now it seems like a bunch of teams, I guess specifically in the East, are just struggling away. And I guess you could, take Montreal off of that, although they lost kind of in gross fashion to the Oil last night. But yeah, there's lots of teams struggling, and it might be a blessing for the Leafs down the road as they try to figure their stuff out and become the team that they want to be. It's nice that they're not falling behind and losing too many points to these other teams in their division.
At risk of burying the lead, I have to ask you, and not to throw you on the spot, I'm sure you've seen this story. This NBA story is wild. This is like Casa Nostra. This is some heavy shit, man. And it's like, I could only wonder long-term the repercussions of all this, not just in basketball, pro sports, and who else is involved is my question.
I know. I saw that announcement last night, actually. Not good, man. Like for, how big sports betting is now and the sponsorships and the money, and it makes it fun. I like, throwing a couple bucks on a game and being able to do it so easily, where before you got to have a bookie and all that. And it's like, what's this hurting? But it opens up for, this problem. It's such a bad look for the league and for the people involved and for those companies too. Like, no one wants to think that things are rigged or fixed or have some shady stuff going on, but man, they have been digging into that for months and have uncovered a lot of stuff, and I'm sure more to come. So very interesting, and obviously a terrible look for the league.
Let's call a spade, though. Like, professional sports open up this can of worms when they welcome the betting world to, legal betting world to the action, right? I mean, it's just really fascinating to me how, we've seen bits and pieces throughout various sports in the NHL world to a degree. But, you're a guy who played the game. I think this happens a lot more than people think, not just in the NBA, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. You wonder. The NBA is it's so much easier to fix and to shave and to, you got one guy that can often dictate the outcome of a game. It's not really the case, thankfully, with hockey. I guess unless you're talking goaltenders, but I'm just so glad that our sport is not involved in that. I don't know. You could say there's been some eyebrows raised and stuff. You think of Shane Pinto, whatever the hell that was. But man, keep that stuff in the NBA, thankfully, and keep it away from our game. I think we've always ran a clean game and free of that type of problems that, God, like I said, just such a bad look for the league. I can imagine the big boys at the NBA are just freaking out right now on how bad of a situation this is, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon.
The Wild West, and all I could think about last night, I had the Pacers game, Pacers plus 7.5 against OKC, and I believe OKC won by 6, and they had the ball with 7 seconds left going up the court, and they peeled around to call it a game. And I'm like, they could have easily scored a basket, and I'm watching. And there's been times where they have scored that basket, man. You start to wonder. The numbers are so sharp in the NBA. It's actually wild. Like, even the NFL, the numbers are really, really sharp too.
I know the people that make those lines are insane. I think now it's probably an AI algorithm that crunches, I mean, every number you could possibly think of to come up with an outcome and a line, and the numbers that they spit out. And you, even before like AI existed or even big computers, like the numbers that Vegas would spit out, it's like, how did you know? Like we talk about all the time. There's surprises out the yin yang and unpredictable things happening to games, and those things still happen and they're still right. It blows my bloody mind on how they do that. But again, basketball is the one sport where it's easy to manipulate those lines and to get to a number that does something for someone. And we've seen it in college basketball. It's a story that's not new with point shaving and covering lines and stuff like that. It's tough. But I don't know, like you talked about that game last night, like, do you know how hard it would be for whether you're the Mafia or whoever the hell to get to this player on this night and like what a coordinated thing, like dangerous, dicey, wild stuff. But again, when you bring tons and tons of dough into the fray, people are willing to do anything, man. And unfortunately, we are seeing that in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I was blown away by that story. And Chauncey Billups is a former Raptor, a Hall of Famer, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg too. And only fitting because I mentioned on the show that I watched The Godfather 1, 2, and 3 a couple weeks ago. And by the word, the word mafia was used once in those three movies. But I heard La Cosa Nostra. I'm like, I need a 24/7, 20 years from now, watching the mafia shake down NBA players. Okay. I want my money now, but it's actually interesting. Last night I was down a rabbit hole on YouTube and I was watching Michael Francis, who's a former mob member, and he got out somehow, but he was sort of breaking down how this happens, how the mafia gets to the players, man. You guys go out and watch it, but it was pretty interesting to see that aspect of somebody who's been in the family before.
I know all that stuff's interesting as hell, unfortunately, and enticing for some people. But I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here this weekend and catch up on all that and make sure that, I follow along and see what's going on, because it's interesting as hell. And again, I just can't imagine the executives at the NBA going, this is the last thing we need right now.
Yeah. I mean, the season just started, and your boy Victor Wembanyama had 40 and 15 in the opener, and that guy's a freak of nature. I don't know if you had a chance to watch Wemby just yet. He is insane. But anyways, enough of the basketball talk. We are looking forward to the World Series. And for the Maple Leafs perspective, a back-to-back here with the Buffalo Sabres. Need to get back on track here in a hurry. Don't forget as well, the Leafs Nation After Dark coming up tonight with Zach Phillips. And we're introducing a watch-along this week, and coming up on Saturday, Rosie, you're going to be able to watch Zach Phillips watch a Maple Leafs game. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be on there. You might be on there. We're going to have a cast of characters. Maybe some others hop by and watch Zach watch a game. I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting. We haven't done that yet. When we first started the show, I was thinking that'd be fun to, because, when you watch and, doing this show obviously makes me care more than I did. And you follow along and, every little storyline. And sometimes I'm sitting there with a beer in my hand going, man, we should do a watch party. It would be fun because, everyone watches games differently. But when you get heated, and the ups and downs of a Maple Leaf season is pretty fun. So it'll be fun to watch Zach and get some of the different TLN crews and shows together that are on our network to be able to kind of watch together. It's the first time that's happening. So people can check that out. I'm excited for it too.
Yeah, we're going to do a blend, I believe, just reading the email here while we do the show with Blue Jays today. So we're going to do a blend with them as they look forward to Game 2 of the World Series. So that should be very unique and get the two families together. A nice little tie-in right there. But we've got some great coverage of the World Series in baseball over at our various channels, including the boys over at Blue Jays today. So there's going to be a bit of a crossover with Zach Phillips. But I'm already thinking of spinoffs. I want to see a spinoff watch-along of producer Vic watching hockey games, because he is by far, Zach's very animated. Producer Vic gets in it. Okay. That's all I can say. We've all seen him at, various watch parties in the past, but I'd love a spinoff, producer Vic watching games.
Why not? The stress level and the sickness.
Man.
I like it. It'd be entertainment. The possibilities are endless.
Anyways, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button at the Leafs Nation 401. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. This opening segment is brought to you by the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 Portable Glass Air Fryer.
Meet the first of its kind. The Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. So you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
I love this from Donnie Does Dishes. Will Zach be cooking with the Ninja? Only one way to find out. You got to tune into the watch along coming up on Saturday. This glass air fryer is PFSA free. That's no harmful chemical while cooking. It includes a small 6-cup and a larger 4-quart Tupperware container. Whether you're whipping up quick single-serve meals in 7 minutes, sharing crispy snacks on the go, or serving a crowd, the Ninja Crispy makes it easy. Check out the link in the episode description or go to sharkninja.ca. So,
Yum.
yeah, looking forward to that. On Thursday as well, the Leafs placing Joseph Woll on LTIR per Puckpedia. 3.67 cap hit, now on LTIR. From what I understand, it gives them flexibility, especially with Chris Tanev going on IR.
Yeah, I guess so. Not like surprised by the fact that player's going on LTI. I've resigned myself to the fact that we're just not going to hear anything from him or about him.
You think we get to a point where we discuss the possibility of Woll being on LTIR for the rest of the season, getting that cap space for the year?
Can you imagine? Like, I don't know, man. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. We've, while respecting his privacy and whatnot, you still try to ask around and hear the rumor mill and the whispers that inevitably are out there in that league and around the team. And it is tightly sealed, man. It's impressive, actually, how well they've kept that secret. And my thing with the Leafs being that way is always that you just leave yourself open for speculation and wild rumors and for people to be thinking and assuming and saying things that are maybe worse than they really are. But in this one, people are being pretty good about respecting Joseph Woll's privacy, but I'm still sorry, like, personal things or not, people are curious and wonder what's going on. They follow this team. We go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and here's one of your players as good and as important as Joseph Woll is just disappearing after camp. Like, all summer it was good. Like, he was fine. He's at training camp. And then just poof, gone. And now we're literally talking about us not seeing him for the rest of the season. And it would be very Leafy for us for something like that to happen. Again, we don't know if that's going to happen, but we're talking about it and it's a possibility, and just never knowing what happened. Never knowing. No one knows. Not going to say nothing. And it again leads my mind to wander with wild speculation, which, I'm not going to bring up on air, but it's just such a wild and Leafy situation. Like, can you think of another thing like this where there's just gone and no explanation whatsoever?
A guy went to Germany last year, Rosie. A guy went to Germany.
Okay,
I can't
in a different organization. A different organization. This one we're very familiar with. This
we didn't know for a month, and then we found out that the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs went to Germany. All right, so expect the unexpected. But the chronology is what gets me, because I recall covering training camp, and the Saturday, I think, to start camp, I saw something come across the wire on social media. Joseph Woll not practicing today due to the flu. I think he was out there Sunday, and then Monday gone. So
I don't know, man. I really don't know. It's wild, and it sucks, and I feel for him. First of all, like, he's in the prime of his career, and this team's looking to do big things, which would, he's obviously trying to be a part of that, and whatever it is, I wish him the best. But from a team perspective and from the outside looking in, it's like, what the hell is going on? And it doesn't seem to be looking like it'll be rectified anytime soon. But I'm not surprised he's on LTIR. It does make me wonder, okay, why now? And is there anything in the mix as far as trades or additions to the roster, anything with this cap space? Is there anything to do with that? Because him going on LTI is not that interesting, but if they're going to do something with that cap money, now that starts to pique people's interest. So I guess, again, we know nothing, and we'll wait and see and hope for some news to break that benefits this team.
Well, I can tell you Nick Robertson is still on this team. That has not changed. He's played 7 games, has 1 assist, -4, but it looks like he's going to be a health bomb tonight. We got new lines. Cowan's back in the mix. Lines back in a blender here, Rosie.
Yeah, they sure are. Yeah, you get why they're trying to find something. And Berube even mentioned a couple days ago, I'm sick and tired of this. Like, and it's frustrating. I don't know. It reminds me of the Sheldon Keefe days where it's just just mash the blender button, just trying to find something. And everyone's got their opinion on when is too early to do that, and how long do you give teams or lines to gel. But obviously, not enough has been going on with the configurations they've had. So they're going back to the drawing board here and going to try something out. And I'm not surprised that Robertson is a guy that's coming out. I know you're managing Easton Cowan and stuff like that, but you can't tell me after watching the games that these guys have played that Robertson's more effective in the lineup than Cowan is. I don't believe that. So I'm glad to see Cowan's back in, and I was kind of waiting for Robertson to come in. I mean, you're pulling Yarncroke out. Like, what are his numbers through the first 5 games of the season? You're scratching him. He's actually producing and being effective and doing more than what his job is. How do you pull a guy out of the lineup that's doing more than his job out there? Kind of frustrating. So to see those guys in and Robertson come out, I'm not shocked or displeased by it. I understand it, but I'm gonna watch, those line configurations pretty closely and see who's gelling. It looks weird to have Nyes off the top line, but then you look, at that top line, Matthews, 2 brand new line mates to play with there, and we'll see if that gels. Again, it's just kind of frustrating that, with him being that good, you should be making everyone else better, but it seems like they're always scrambling to find someone to play with him, you know what I mean? Which is, I guess, not the ideal situation that you'd be looking for this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, moral of the story, and it's pretty surreal. We're 7 games in, and we've seen all those clips go viral of what's up with Austin Matthews. He has to grab this team by the balls. Rosie, this is a cliche on this podcast by now. There's not much more to say. I'm right there with you. They got McMahon. They got Nylander with Matthews. You have to get cooking, man. You are the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're everything to this franchise. It's go time, man. I'm going to park the first 7 games of the season. I want to see Austin Matthews be the best player on the ice tonight in Buffalo, period.
Yeah, me too. I want to see him be dynamic and just leap off the screen to you doing the things that he's capable of doing. It's not just putting pucks in the net, and he's capable of doing the defensive things as well, which is nice. Usually, some guys have superstars that you kind of going, can you play some defense and can you pay attention to the details? And he seems to do that pretty well. And we've seen him at his best. The sky's the limit for how good Austin Matthews can be. But, and it's funny too, because, these guys and Nylander included, they won't play that great, or they'll look like there's so many like blunders, or like, what the hell? Like, that's how you're going to play that shift and expect to have success. And then you'll look and he's got 3 points on the night. So it's, if you're not paying attention closely, I see why Leafs fans and shows and all the rest of it get ripped when, there might be a clip of you being hard on a player like William Nylander, questioning his X, Y, and Z. And then people are like, are you kidding me? They look up the league stats and they're like, are you seriously being hard on this guy? But I think that the expectations are high in Toronto, and we know what they can do on the score sheet, but we know that it's going to take more to get us to the promised land. So again, expectations are high, criticism's high, but hopefully these line configurations here, we can find something, spark something. It's interesting seeing Nyes down there with Tavares and Michelli, seeing if that can be something that works. I know they've tried to kind of keep Willie and Matthews separate so you can kind of spread the wealth around the top 6 a little bit. But when you're not happy with what you're seeing, you're kind of willing to try anything. And I think they're going to look to have some success with this lineup. So it makes it that much more exciting to watch the game today.
I think this is a monster moment in the career of Bob McMahon. You are riding shotgun with Austin Matthews and William Nylander on the top line of the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're a pending free agent. You're looking to get paid, whether it's by the Maple Leafs or elsewhere, by your hometown Oilers. It doesn't matter. This is a big opportunity for McMahon. He has showed it before in his career. He's had moments where he scored in 5-6 straight games, and he's had moments where he hasn't scored in 24 straight games. I think consistency is the big thing I want from Bob McMahon moving forward. But this is a big pledge of allegiance, I think, from the coach in McMahon. And obviously they're throwing lines into a blender. But this guy has proven he can score Now he's just got to find it. But I think he can really complement Matthews and Nylander on that top line.
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking forward mostly to seeing his speed on that line, particularly to get the puck back on the forecheck and to dig that thing out. I think he's got a lot of potential to be, that F1 and bang a guy and come out with the puck and then just find one of those two skilled guys and get the puck in their hands. And I think that's what it's all about, is retrieving pucks in the O-zone, creating chances. And, we've seen Bobby McMahon. We know he's got a terrific shot, which has lent to the goals that he's scored for sure, but his speed is there as well. And, those other two guys are high octane, high skilled type of players. And if you got a guy that's willing to work his nuts off out there and get the puck back so he can get it into those players' hands, I think that is, the strategy here to try to get that line some success. So it seems weird seeing those guys play together with Matthews. We've kind of seen other players stapled to him, but again, they're looking to shake things up and try to find something that works better than what they've been looking at so far this season. So again, another layer of interest to the game today and this weekend and this home and home back-to-back with Buff.
In support of Sick Kids, John Gallagher, thank you so much for the super chat. We've been waiting 10 years for 34 to grab anything by the balls. Columbus series, the Montreal series, valid points. When are we calling it a day? He is who he is. Yes, we're entering game 8 of the regular season.
But game 1 of his year. Yeah, I know. There's, it's tough. He's a stoic guy, right? He's just he's hard to read. He seems very likable. I think that the teammates all like him and everyone respects him and what he's capable of doing. But when you see the fire that other teams' stars play with, makes Leafs fans kind of lust for that a little bit, and some passion and some intensity and some grit and some emotion. I think that's what's lacking in the Leafs lineup. I really do. And I think that's why they've made some of the changes and the head coach that they've brought in. You just look back. I remember our watch parties and whatnot last year in the playoffs, and we're watching and we're excited and we're ready. And we can't wait to see what the team's got to offer. And it's just kind of flat. And we just can't believe how a team could be flat at certain opportunities in the playoffs. And again, it's intensity, it's emotion, and it's passion that I really think Leafs fans need to see. And I really think, this team, obviously, first couple of games in the year, but in general, is missing something, is missing kind of that secret sauce. And to me, I think it is that intensity and the passion that they sometimes just play without. And they're very skilled and they're able to win games without it. But again, to get through the gritty times of the season, late in the season, playoffs, postseason, you just can't do it without that. And I, for one, would really like to see a lot more of that in this team.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I do believe the Leafs will be on the ice for their morning skate in Buffalo coming up, I would say, in the next 15 to 20 minutes. And we'll know more about this lineup. But specifically on the blue line, we got no clue what's going on. Okay, they got McCabe and Carlo. Now, I guess Morgan Rielly is, quote, dealing with something. Was with the skills coach prior to practice yesterday. Didn't practice with the team. Maybe we see Dakota Mermis's season debut because he practiced yesterday with OEL. Then you got Benoit and Myers. But this is perfect for me, man. You got guys out of the lineup, and the Leafs in the past tend to rise up with guys injured. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, opportunity is huge. A guy like Mermis, a guy like Myers, I think they're going to be chomping at the bit to get their season going and to establish themselves and get some momentum going that they can ride to help the team, help themselves. So that's kind of what you're looking for when guys like that get inserted into the lineup. I know that our back end hasn't been that great. There's been some breakdowns, some odd man rushes that are akin to a few years ago when they just kind of played that Wild West style that was conducive to a lot of turnovers and odd man rushes. There has been too much of that. And now you look at, Benoit and Myers, is that a pairing that can compete, or are they going to be standing out for the wrong reasons? Again, the players that are coming in are certainly going to have all of the intention of making their mark on the game and on the team and having opportunity come to them and then make the most of it. But we'll see. Again, losing Tanev and Rielly, with everything else that's going on, it's not ideal. But again, next man up. We say it all the time, especially this time of year when injuries seem to be prone. I don't know, players' bodies are getting used to the grind of actually playing games after a long off season. But again, those guys are gonna have to step up and do their jobs. That's why they're there, and we'll see how it goes tonight. It's another reason, another layer of interesting stuff happening this weekend.
I want to see Myers again. I think in his select time playing last year, he was a really, really bright story, right? He gets a new contract out of it. He was a seventh defenseman to a T, but I think there's opportunity because he shoots right, and he's a very imposing figure. I've seen him in the press box quite a bit this season. He's 6'5". He's a big body, man, and I think he uses size a lot more. I recall when he came into the NHL years ago, he was known as a sort of an offensive-minded guy, but if they can find a way to get that consistency and that level from Phil Myers, I think it'll prove to continue to be a good addition the way it was last year. But I want to see this guy play some games. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, and you said it, being a right-handed shot, it's I don't know, every team in the world seems like they're lacking on right-handed shooting defensemen. So and it's tough having guys play on your off side. We talked about it yesterday, so it'll be interesting to have him in there. That is one of the layers for sure that is promising, is that you got a right-hander in there to kind of fill that role that's a little bit lacking. So yeah, the big body, we're the biggest team in the NHL now apparently. I'd like to see him use it a little bit. I sent a clip to the group chat. What team was that?
Islanders?
Yeah, Island. They're
good response. You see that Schaefer gets decked, like 16 guys, Mayfield, they all come over, man.
And it's just like bees just swarming to it, and it just says so much about their mentality on the pride they take in themselves and their team and their stars and their young guys and their up and comers, and they're not willing to let anyone dick around. They have a lot of pride in what they're doing. And again, I'd like to see more of that. Look at this, just come flying in there. I don't give a shit. No, am I worried about taking a 2-minute penalty? Are you kidding me? This is so much bigger.
7-2 game with 4 seconds left, but
yeah, okay, I see that. But nonetheless, you see it around the league at opportunities where it does matter if you take a penalty. And we've talked about it last week where it's like, well, we had the 2-minute penalty, so I didn't want to give that up. Oh, at the risk of your goaltender feeling like he's hung out to dry all the time, and that no one's coming to his aid, and that teams coming into the building think that they can take liberties with this guy with the best save percentage in the league. Like, give me a break. That's easy to fix. That's easy to fix. And it does matter, and it does show up after a long season, and it does create your identity that they're trying to change. So it's that kind of mental shit where, where's your head at as a team and as a unit, and how much pride are you taking in and what's going on? Are you guys thinking as a team, or are you thinking as individuals? And when I see the team that I care about lacking in that department after making these changes, and they're the biggest team in the league, and they're supposed to be more rugged and able to take on the big bad Florida Panthers in the playoffs, it's like they didn't get the memo or something. It's a bit of a piss off. So again, 7 games into this season, work in progress, but I hope that's something that they're trying to identify and trying to rectify, because it is a problem, and I hate to see it. And I'm old school dinosaur, that's fine. But the teams that are winning these days are back to the teams that are playing that style where they're physical, they take pride in what they're doing, and they all do things together because they care, and they don't take any bullshit out there. And I'm kind of really annoyed when the Maple Leafs take a lot of bullshit, and there's absolutely no reason for it.
I don't think it's an unfair request. Just show me you have a pulse. That's all I want to see against the Buffalo Sabres. Like, show me you have a pulse. Show me you're playing a hockey game, and I'll be happy with you. Yeah, go ahead.
That's why I liked Stoley's comments, and I'm sure no one in that room was happy that he did it in the media, but it was nice to see somebody say something that freaking mattered, like to show that they cared and show some passion. Like, again, I was saying, like, these interviews and what they're saying after games, you can't tell if they won 7-2 or got the doors blown off of them by their retorts. And it's like, can you show me, like, yeah, don't be a machine. Don't be a robot. I get they're all don't like to talk to the media. Fine. But like, it seems like all the other teams are being honest, and they can be they can have passion in their responses, and our guys are just just straight and narrow, run of the mill, even plane, nothing's going to get anything. It's like, well, you need some excitement to play this game. You need some passion. You need some fire. And I like to see it out of Stoli, even if it was, on the grounds of negativity of calling guys out not in a way. It simply was that. But I just thought it was refreshing to see someone get pissed off about something.
I would love to see a Maple Leafs player drop an F-bomb in a post-game retort. I can't remember the last time that's happened. Like where they're visibly upset, and Stoli was the first one. I talked about it. You knew he was stewing, and you knew he was fired up, and maybe it was too close to the game ending and him speaking to the media, but he was fired up. I love the passion because I'll be honest, watching various outlets in this market, there have been some former players who really did not like what Stolarz did because he's a goalie, and now there's accountability factor, and now next time you let that goal in, like how dare you call out Nylander? But I'm right there with you. I like the play. We never see it. I think there's got to be a level of desperation and urgency to the way this team plays right now. And sadly, we haven't seen it thus far.
Yeah, and I'm trying to do the other thing of remember what it's like to be in that room. And,
yeah,
whenever the camera goes on a guy and you're like, oh, here comes a whole lot of nothing with an interview in the locker room after. And they all just say the same shit no matter what happened out there. And I guess I get why it gets to that point, because when you're in that room and you've been in that room interviewing guys, it's just a mash of people and reporters and media, and there is wires and lines going to cameras and microphones all over the place. And if you start to go off script and start to get, maybe heated about something, everyone's head turns over to what's going on. And then everyone just leaves with their shuffles around. And then all of a sudden there's 30 people around your stall. And then everyone's going, what's so-and-so saying? Oh, boy. And then everyone's writing down. And then everyone's going, oh, it's a big deal. We got to make a big story about this. And then the media guys got to pull you away and be like, okay, that's all for today. And then they're like, oh, you caused a shitstorm there. And it's like, we're trying to avoid that. So then it just breeds that environment of no one say anything. Don't go off script. Don't bring passion. Don't get fired up about anything. It'll get turned into something that it's not. And they just protect themselves, quote unquote, by, just being so lame with their responses. But that's all fine and dandy. But to me, it's like, well, you also played that way. You don't get fired up about anything. You have the same look on your face all the time. Again, I said yesterday, the only time I see any passion or, energy or excitement or attitude or cockiness or any of that stuff is when they score a goal and they do a whoop-de-doo Sally. Okay, cool. And then it's just back to being flatlined. So again, work in progress, but I hope this group finds some intensity somewhere, because I really think they need it.
To your point, I mean, this is like a decade long. I'm just thinking to myself, we've seen so many heartbreaking losses in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we there is not a clip that we hang to where it's like this guy demanded more out of this team and himself, and he demanded some repercussions and change and all. Like, we've never seen that in the media. It's that's why this is such a breath of fresh air for me to see Stolarz actually say something. And then it's hilarious. He comes out the next game and says they were great, but that's a non-story.
Little damage control. But yeah, no, I mean, you think back to the playoff losses and the end of the seasons that they've had, and it's never one that you can be proud of as a fan, right? It's always like, oh my God, it's always a groaner, right? Like, imagine they were just going to war and everyone's just got sweat leaking off the end of their nose and intensity and fire, and some guys trying to, blow the lid off the game and laying down a block shot and just running someone and back checking this heroic back check to break up a player, just something. And then it's like, shit, but we just came up short. You know what? God damn, that was a good game, a good series, though. It's never that. It's always like, oh my God, what were they thinking? Where were their heads at? And that's the story that I want to erase this season, if at all possible.
Yeah, the only memory I have of that type of series was the initial season where they just came out of nowhere to make the playoffs, and they gave the Washington Capitals everything they got in a 6-game series, and it was really close. Got a cap and an OT winner in that series. That was like the last time I'm like, holy shit, these guys came to play. But you're so right. In support of Sick Kids, Shane Brom, thank you so much for the super chat. Igor Chinikov for Nick Robertson. Thoughts? It's funny you bring that up, because this is something I've thought about for the last 4 months in the offseason. I think a transaction that made a lot of sense. We know Chinikov wants out of Columbus. He's 24. Robertson's 24. His career high is 16 goals. Robertson's had a couple more in his career, but I think a deal that would make sense for both teams. I don't know where Columbus is at on that side. Maybe they want more for a Chinikov or a different type of player. Even a Lucas Reichel, I would throw into that conversation. If you're looking for one-for-one change of scenery type swaps, Reichel's 23 years of age, not known as much for his offensive abilities at that level just yet. He's really struggled with consistency, but those are the types of one-for-one swaps you're looking for. But, man, I told you, like, when that day comes and Nick Robertson, we see it on X, Robertson dealt, I'm going to be floored. I'm going to be like, wow, I can't believe it actually happened.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, you go through the timeline of Nick Robertson and coming up through it and the opportunity he's got and the opportunity he feels he probably hasn't got, the success, the lack of success, the asking for a trade, the multiple contracts re-signed. It's just always been in limbo, straddling the line. Is he here? Is he not? And he's not good enough to play every game or to make a big impact on the roster the way they want, but he's too good to trade off for anything that's been floated across the table so far. So again, another interesting saga. I know that, times like now, obviously the forwards aren't as bad, but you go through the points in the season where you're dropping like flies, and everyone goes through those spells in a season where when it rains it pours, and this guy's almost ready, but then this guy goes down, and like, what are we going to do with the lineup with this? And then another guy goes down. It's like, oh my God, like the sky is just, closing in on you. That's where a Nick Robertson is nice to have, because he does work his butt off, and he has certainly upside. And I think that he is an NHLer. It's just every time he's been given opportunity, like this year where he's played every single game except maybe the very beginning, nonetheless, he's gotten, multiple games in a row, and you just haven't noticed him. One apple, -4, like just not accomplishing enough to warrant a roster spot on this team with the things they're looking to do. So again, same old shit. We'll see what happens with this rumor mill. And if Treliving's actually able to pull a trigger and find something, at this point that it's going to be because you absolutely think it makes the team better.
Would have loved to take it or leave it to start the year that Nick Robertson plays the first 7 games of the season. Take it or leave it. But that's exactly what happened. He had 1 assist, going to be a health bomb, is trending towards being a health bomb here against the Buffalo Sabres tonight. Just seeing Alex Lyon is in the starter's net for the Sabres. I did see yesterday that UPL was activated. So I wonder if UPL goes in Toronto tomorrow night. That's their number 1 goaltender. For the Maple Leafs, I haven't seen anything on the wire unless they didn't skate today. So maybe it'll be a mystery until puck drop later on tonight. But want to get your thoughts too at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We got a heavy major tilt on Thursday night. Ryan Reeves at the Mecca, Broadway against Matt Rempe. And I would give the former Leaf the decision here. Would you?
Yeah, I would have to too. Rempe, he's certainly willing, and man, did he ever make some noise when he came into the league there. I think he played 12 or 15 games, and he was the most talked about guy in the entire league. Again, his style of not using his size to his advantage continues to be his Achilles heel. I don't love his footwork and his balance. Like, he's not great at planting his edges and having a strong foundation. And you can see every time a guy punches, it gets to his face. He just leaves himself wide open to it. Again, love the fact that he's willing and gets in there and goes the big boys, but he should be having more success with his size and strength. It's just a thing that I know people have talked to him about, and it's just not natural for him to play or to fight in a style that protects him. And he just seems to be in there, hanging in there, and it's going all right. And then boom, he just eats too many big ones from the big boys and blows his helmet off or knocks him off balance. And I mean, usually that's all it is to lose the decision of the scrap. But again, love the way he shows up, love the way that he's in the league. Always exciting, and it's always over everyone's feed whenever the guy scraps. So I think it's great. I love to watch it, but yeah, I'd like to see that kid do a little better with what he has for a frame, to be honest. But again, no slouch that he's going against there in Ryan Reeves, and Reeves always poised as usual, knowing what to do and being in the driver's seat from an experience standpoint. And I would say he got the win in that one.
Foreign sight seeing Ryan Reeves actually fight in a hockey game. If you recall, that was a big point of contention on this podcast last year. Why isn't Ryan Reeves fighting? And we asked him in our interview in the offseason, was that something they told you not to do? And he's like, no, just the timing wasn't right. But then you see him go Rempe on Broadway, right? So who knows? And that's been a big story with this Leafs team. Like we saw the Benoit fight, but they really haven't initiated much.
No, they sure haven't.
Yeah.
It was, Revo in this day and age to be in the, not just in the league, but in the lineup every night. You want to try and invoke some change on the game and, get that, what sometimes Scotiabank Arena is a morgue, fired up and light a fuse and get things going on, get the energy going, get the bench going, get the blood flowing for the boys and change some momentum or get another team off of their game and strategy, or, hit the reset button on a period that's kind of getting away from you, that kind of thing. And it just, when he was here, I agree, to the point where we asked him about it, like, how come you didn't really scrap too much? Because I personally saw some opportunities last season where I'm like, there he is, grab him, man, grab him and do it, go, that's your job. And he just didn't seem to be thinking the same way. But again, who am I to question a guy that's been in the league that long? And again, I remember scrapping at the end of my career going, holy shit, this isn't what it used to be. The adrenaline doesn't quite dump and you feel more stuff during it, and it gets tougher and tougher every year. So again, hats off to Revo for doing that job for as long as he has.
That would have been another great take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. October 24th, Ryan Reeves will have more goals than Nick Robertson, because that's exactly what's happening right now. He's got 1 goal. Robertson has 0.
Yeah, it happens again. Early,
we got lineup news, Rosie. We have lineup news, by the way. Morgan Rielly will not play today, and they'll see how he is for tomorrow's game. Nick Robertson will be a healthy scratch.
Yeah, exactly what I thought. Not surprised whatsoever. Rielly's out. So we're going to have 2 new bodies in there. And the guys, we talked about Mermis there, and he'll make his debut. Same with Myers. So, we'll see. Again, sometimes this happens where you get put against a wall and you bring guys in that are chomping at the bit, and away they go and they have a hell of a game, and you notice them and it's great. And that's not out of the realm of possibility tonight by any stretch, especially against Buffalo. I hope that happens. The key is doing it consistently and finding the chemistry among your lineup where you can rely on it every night, at least to a certain standard. And unfortunately, with those bodies being out, I don't think that our back end is going to be any better. And they had problems getting the job done to their desirable level in the first place. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if these guys come out and have a good game. But if this is a long-term thing or for a week or whatever, it's going to be hard to play at that high level with that back end for a considerable amount of time.
How much do you want to bet, because the Leafs are the Leafs, that they put forth their best defensive effort of the season tonight without 2 of their top 4 defensemen? It would be very Leafy, would it not?
Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if these guys have a good game and come out, firing and being chomping at the bit to invoke their presence on the game and make the most of an opportunity and show whatever they want to show to the brass and management and coaching staff. But again, that would be great if that happened, and it would be very Leafy, and I wouldn't be surprised. But again, sustaining that for a long period of time with injuries, I think, is going to be the difficult part.
Anthony Stolar is the projected starter for this game, his 7th start in 8 games, and that's a prevailing story, is the wear and tear on the number 1 goaltender, because I don't know how much they believe in the backup Caden Primo, but it's a back-to-back. We think Primo's going to go tomorrow night. And lastly, just want to get your thoughts. I think it'll be interesting, too, with no Rielly. Our guy, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, going to run PP1 tonight, and it can't go much worse. They are 2 for 16 on the season, Rosie.
Yeah, I was going to say, who cares? Just a different look will be great, I think. I think we talked about the leash on the first unit in the past 7 games and them not really amounting to a whole lot on their opportunities. But, I was almost of the ilk of, can we give the second unit some time and just say, hey, guys, you got 45 seconds and then get the hell off. You're not going to be out there for a minute 30, and give the second unit some scraps, especially when it isn't going well. But on the flip side of that coin, it's like, well, how are they going to get it going or find opportunity if you cut their opportunities short? It's just 6 to 1, half a dozen, man. How do you critique it or find a solution to what's going on with the power play when you look at who they have on it that can't accomplish a goddamn thing? It's kind of the type of thing that you pull your hair out about it, and I don't understand it. And I'm not a power play guy, so I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm saying I don't have any of the answers. I'm saying how the hell is that unit not more productive? But sometimes all it takes is to rattle the cage and shake something loose. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's injuries and having guys get pulled out by that circumstance that gives it a different look and maybe jars something loose. So OELQ being unit 1, I don't freaking know. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know why it doesn't work in the first place. But here's a different look, and we'll see if it jars something loose. I hope they can have some success, because this team should be relying on their power play to get them a lot of offense and be a difference maker in the game. And so far, like years past, it's just a momentum killer so far.
I'm calling a defensive clinic and at least one power play goal from the Maple Leafs tonight. That's my call for this game in Buffalo. By the way, producer Vic wants to get some stuff in here. He says, Willie has no goals on a goalie. Noted. Tavares also at 498. Guy is a fucking legend. He wants us to give us some love for JT, maybe to score his 500th goal this weekend, Rosie.
Sweet. That would be awesome. Yeah. What is the stat? He's got 4, or how many does he have with 2 separate teams, which is just like it's like 2 unbelievable careers with separate teams all rolled into one. Very impressive. He continues to impress. Of all the ups and downs of the season so far in the short bit that we've had, not a lot of JT talk. He's kind of flown under the radar, hasn't he? So again, with Nyes beside him and Michelli, who I still think Michelli can be a difference maker on this team. I think his vision and his unique ability to make plays, it's got to hook up with somebody here. And we've seen it already with Willie, albeit, but maybe he'll be able to find something with JT and Nyes here tonight, and off to the races they can go. But I agree with you. I wouldn't be surprised if they popped off with this roster, and then when guys get healthy and come back or whatever the case is, it's like, now what do we do? We've seen that before with, whether it's Marner or Matthews being out and they have a whole bunch of success against all odds. And then it's like, well, what do we do now that they're back? It might be one of those, but we'll see. The bottom line is, I think we said yesterday, we want 6 out of 8 points here in the next 4. I think anything less than that would be kind of, not ideal, I guess.
Yeah, so JT at 498, and he was in select company, I think one of 4 elite players to get 500 points with multiple organizations, which is so tremendous. And I was going to ask you that to wrap, like, what constitutes a good weekend for Jay Rosehill? Like, you're going to come back on Monday and be fucking chipper about the Maple Leafs. What do you need to see?
Some 60-minute effort, some character, some team first intensity, some defensive performances where you're stifling the other team and they're growing frustrated, and you can see that. Starting on time, starting periods on time, just a well-rounded 60-minute team first effort. Obviously nothing's perfect, but you got guys chomping at the bit now to make the most of an opportunity. I imagine they'll be leading the charge with that, and hopefully everyone else can follow suit. But I would be ecstatic if we can get some semblance of a team first, high intensity weekend where they're playing the right way, and there's nothing saying they can't do that.
Don't play down to your opponent. It's funny to say because it's game 8 and 9 of the season, but these seem like 2 really big games, and they're coming against a rival in the Buffalo Sabres, who are an inferior opponent, who, by the way, have been playing some good hockey. They had a shit start to the season, but they've been winning games. So if you're the Maple Leafs, take care of business. By the way, Brendan Shanahan will be joining the NHL's hockey operations department. Anything else you want to add to that, Rosie?
Not surprised. He's been in there before working with the league. Smart guy, tons of experience, and even more so now running the Leafs. So not surprised at all. I'm sure he'll have as much opportunity to continue his career in that sense as he wants, as I think the big boys in that league think of him fondly.
I'm curious where he ends up. You talk about the team the Leafs are playing. Like there seems to be rumors of seismic shakeup again in Buffalo. Who knows? Maybe Shanny goes there. Like, I'm just curious to see what next job he takes. But that is the latest on Brendan Shanahan. It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, visit ConnexOntario.com .ca. I know somebody in the chat, I don't remember who it was, but they were saying a OEL anytime point. I'm going to play that. Why not? Running the first power play. I think he's going to get major minutes with the two key injuries to Tanev and Rielly. So I'm going to play OEL tonight, Rosie.
I like that. I'm going to play the under in the game. I think Stoley will be at his best and be shutting the door. I think that the Leafs are going to be focused on playing a well-structured hockey game that we'll see what it leads to as far as offense. But I'm going to play the under. I'm going to play the under in the Jays. Or sorry, I'm going the other way and playing the over in the Jays game. I think the Bats are going to be hot, and it's going to be an offensive game that is going to be really exciting and start off the Fall Classic the right way. So those are my two bets for Bet 365.
Oh, I love it. I'm always weary of games in Buffalo, man. You've lived them. There's just something about games in Buffalo. They just turn into fucking mayhem. And that's why I'm like, they're going to put forth an incredible effort tonight, but I could easily... I don't know if you were dialed into the NHL last night, dude. It was a wild night in the NHL. We're talking 7-6 hockey, 6-5 hockey, 7-5 hockey. I'll say this, at some point over the next two games, we're going to get that between Leafs and Buffalo. I hope it happens tomorrow night, more likely because Primo's playing, and you just never know. It's going to be a back-to-back for both teams in less than 24 hours, but you just never know when the Leafs are in Buffalo.
That is true. I remember not having a lot of success in Buffalo, to be honest. But
yeah, man.
You never know what's going to happen. Again, lineup shake up. We'll see if they shake and bake a little bit in this new lineup or line combinations, if they can find something. Because I know that Craig Berube is searching high and low for some of that sweetness that he's looking for. We'll see if it's tonight.
AC Parker writes in, JT is the fourth guy in league history to score 500-plus points for two different teams. I assume he has not caught up to the show just yet because we just discussed that on this podcast. So I'm right there with you. I want to come into Monday just feeling positive about Toronto sports. So that means a Raptors victory against your boy Giannis in their home opener. Looking forward to that. The Blue Jays, maybe a split. I would be happy with a split this weekend against the Dodgers in the first two games of the World Series. And the Maple Leafs, again, just take care of business. Head into the final two games of October. Feel good about life and weather that storm. Great stuff, Rosie. We'll talk on Monday, buddy.
Well, the Raptors are very far down on my priority list of.
Dude, they were great. They were excellent in the season opener the other day. They smashed your Atlanta Hawks. So
good. Great stuff. Again, far down on my list of priorities. Watch me have to go on a podcast and explain why I don't hate basketball. No, good stuff. There's just lots going on in TO with everything else. Good luck to all teams. I think it's going to be a hell of a good sports weekend.
I spread a rumor now. Coda Red asks, is Rosie boys with Giannis? No, he's not boys with Giannis. I don't think he even knows who Giannis is.
Tuna Makopo?
your boy LeBron's got sciatica, by the way. He's not even playing right now. They can't find the guy, man. He's like 63 years old. Sciatica.
How about that guy being a billionaire and taking $50 million in salary and then bitching that he doesn't have any support? Like $30 million wasn't going to do it, LeBron. Like, do you actually want to win and like go out on the right note, or no? You need 50 schmil this year, and then bitching that you don't have any supporting cast. Like, what is wrong with you? He just
pay cut.
Never ends.
That was the NBA equivalent to John Tavares taking $4.38 million a season.
Yeah, 50 tickets for a billionaire. Who do you think he's going to notice anything in his life if he's making 30 and he opens up $20 million to get some other people around him to play with to have some success? No. But does he do it? No, because he needs to puff his chest out and say, I make 50 sheets. Like, anyone gives a shit, man. He's continues to be the biggest dickhead in sports.
It's funny, like that is the growing bit on this podcast is Rosie's disdain for LeBron James. But you have to keep tabs on NBA drama. It's great because last week, I think it was Russell Westbrook, it came out with some wild accusations through his book about LeBron being a phony and a fake. And he was just talking trash about LeBron. Like, the NBA is incredible, man. I yearn for that one day in the NHL where there's like fucking drama and people are shit talking each other on podcasts. Like, we'll never get to that level, but the NBA is just fun from that aspect. Never mind watching the game, but the off the court drama is go look it up after the show, man. Like, Westbrook went in deep on LeBron. You probably would smile ear to ear listening and watching that.
Oh, I'm definitely going to go check that out. There is drama in that sport. Football can get into it a little bit too, with like Russell Wilson recently, and it's fun from the outside. I know from the league and the teams and everything else, they like when they stay away from that. And hockey's pretty good with staying out of it. There's a lot of mutual respect, but sometimes to spice things up, I wouldn't mind if guys threw a little shade online. It makes it fun for us.
Like, when's the last time there was like a legitimate beef in the NHL? Was it Sean Avery chirping Marty Berdeur's wife? Like, are we thinking 25 years ago?
Or the Dion Phaneuf saga? Yeah, like literally we're going back.
It's all Sean
20
Avery.
years at least. One guy. I can't think of a tweet or an ounce of shade thrown by one from anyone, but it's a classy league by a bunch of classy dudes. I think that were, raised the right way, and they don't see any value in doing that stuff. So it's a good thing at the end of the day. I like it, but from the perspective of a guy doing a hockey show, it'd be fun to talk about that shit once in a while.
I'm checking my pulse. Sorry, folks. Checking my pulse. I just want to see a pulse from the hockey team. Okay, that's it for us. At the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Leafs Want to Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit leafsnation.com. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the action. We'll talk on Monday. Take care, everybody. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.